All right, well, here we are up on top of Kajaki Dam, and we're up here to really summarize the last of the 6 series that we did as we talked about progress here in Helmand through 2011. The first thing that we mentioned was the interdiction piece and the closing off of the facilitation routes down south from Baram Cha. We sent the LAR battalion down there on 15 March, and they spent several days clearing the bazaar, and then they backed off and continued with interdiction with their LAVs in the southern approaches to Rieg, Kanashin, and Garmsir. We complemented their efforts down in the desert with an air interdiction force, and RCT-1, as I mentioned, with 4 battalions, maintained sustained disruption over the course of about 45 to 60 days. And these, we might refer to them as spoiling attacks. We talked about disruption, but these attacks and this effort generally dismantled any insurgent effort last spring to kick off a spring offensive or roll into a summer fighting season. I think the second element of the campaign, I talked about deepening the hold, if you will, and opening up opportunities and freedom of movement for the citizens. Freedom of movement being a critical piece for the agrarian society. You have to have the capability to move your goods and to get your crops from the field to the market. And we spent a great deal of time improving roads. Some of the critical routes were 611 here behind me, opening up that route, certainly all the way to the Kajaki Dam. And there were a couple routes out in the west between Musa Kala and Nauzad that we repaired and we graded. We again gave the citizens an opportunity to get to the market and facilitated their freedom of movement. We couldn't have done this without the logistics group, the MLG resources, mostly for the repair of 611 here behind me and the repair of what we refer to as Route Red between Gereshk, Nauzad, Musa Kala. Most of the repair was done by the Engineer Support Battalion, and without the logistics group, MLG engineers, we couldn't have had the success that we had relative to freedom of movement and opening up these markets. Opening up the roads also allowed us to connect the citizens with their government. Critically important down in Marja and Nawa was giving the people an opportunity to get to the provincial government. The same holds true for the Geresh Road and Route 611, allowing the citizens to be connected with their provincial government there in Lash, and allowing the government, quite frankly, to outreach to the citizens out in the districts. In the previous, one of the previous sessions, I think I talked about earning the trust and confidence of the people. And really, this is just a matter of the Marines who operate out there every day, showing respect for the culture and earning that trust, not inflicting civilian casualties, even though the enemy might try to put us in a position where they could gain some civilian casualties. The Marines have to show some discipline. They've got to show professionalism, and we did that throughout the year in order to gain the trust and the confidence of the population here. We needed to convince the citizens that there is some benefit to them siding with their government. This is really critically important, especially for a people who has been murdered and intimidated and had lived through the last 35 years of violence. The people here in Helmand are very skeptical of choosing a side, whether it's choosing a side with the Taliban or choosing a side with the government. These people are survivors, and they tended to remain neutral. So we put a big effort into getting the people to see the benefit of their government. And if we could tip them from neutral to positive or from negative to neutral, then that would help us. That helped us along with the mission over the course of the last year. I didn't talk a great deal about partnered operations, but really partnered operations were very important to us. You know, that's how we developed the ANSF. We lived with them, we ate with them, and we operated with them every day. And the young Marines set the example for the ANSF. And again, that's how we got them out there operating amongst the population. That's how we gave them confidence, and primarily that's how we accelerated their development. There are things that we can't influence, you know, how the equipment comes down from Kabul, how the parts and how the logistics system is established above the core level, but at the grassroots level, getting the ANSF out there among the population is critically important, and we did that with partnered operations. And we tried to teach the police to the degree that we can that their role is to serve and protect the population. And we did that again by partnering, by operating shoulder to shoulder with these forces throughout the course of the past year. I mentioned local police, primarily in Marja, but now we're seeing local police in Nawa, Garmsir, Musa Kala, and Sangin. Local police are very, very important in this environment because it's an indicator that the people are no kidding willing to stand up in their local villages and take a side against the insurgency. And we've all heard about some of the distractors or detractors, if you will, from the local police, but in my view, local police are very, very important. Here we've tied them to the elders, we've tied them to the district chief of police, we've tied them to the district governors from the beginning. We do shuras as we stand up these local police forces, and the individuals that participate are vetted and they're vouched for by the elders, and they have been a very, very important aspect of the overall security. We use them to thicken the Afghan National Security Forces, and again, they provide value to the security forces. A couple last points that I'd like to mention. I want to mention integration of all resources, because we used, besides just our fighting forces and our partnership with the ANSF and our support to the provincial reconstruction team and the regional platform, we used information operations, we used PSYOPs, we used all kinds of non-kinetic resources. And integration of these resources was again very, very important to the success that we had out here on the battlefield. I'd be negligent if I didn't mention the integration of special operations forces. These forces, we sat down with them when we got here, and I think we established a relationship whereby we could gain the most complementary effects from conventional and special operations forces that was possible. And we had a superb relationship, and these are, you know, everything from the night raids that everybody talks about to the village stability operations that we've got ongoing in the upper Sangin Valley. Integration of the Special Operations Force was very, very important to our overall effort here. Of course, the MLG and the second mall were also very, very important to our success. This isn't a, this isn't a GCE-centric effort over here. We couldn't have had the success that we've had, or made the progress, really. I won't talk about success, I'd rather mention progress. We couldn't have had the progress, couldn't have made the progress that we've made without the commitment of the MLG and the wing. And we couldn't, quite frankly, have expected the kind of support that we got. Absolutely superb across the force. And then finally, I'll mention our own Marines here in the GCE. That's really what it's all about. Any progress that was made, any success that was achieved over the past year is a result of the efforts of the Marines on the ground. That's the most important thing to me. And as a headquarters, our job is to make timely decisions, manage resources, and provide them what they need on the ground to be successful. So I'll close by just mentioning the commitment and the bravery of the Marines that have been serving here in Helmand You know, if you could imagine leaving the wire every day with a metal detector in your hand, searching for the IED, hoping you find it before you hit it, expecting a firefight on every patrol, we couldn't ask for better service from our young men and some women that we have out there on the battlefield. And really, for me, to have an opportunity to command, we always say it's a privilege to command. For me, quite frankly, it's been an honor just to be able to serve alongside these great young men and women.